Rangatahi, tēnei te mihi kauake, koe anora ka tuku atu kia koe Bianca.
Kia ora, ngā mihi. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Manaaki Rangatahi. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in to actually just share time and space with us. If I could, I'd just have us all sitting in a great big giant circle, because I just believe in the power of circles and cycles and talking all together. But we're a big, massive audience. So that's great. First of all, I want to ask everyone that's here, that's in the Manaaki Rangatahi Collective, to please come up to the front of the room with us. Bill, Ola, come on. Both of you. Oh, good. You're part of the collective. Come on, Maya. Who else is sitting back there and not coming up? No, I think we've got everyone up. Just want to mihi to and recognise LifeWise, when nobody else was talking about youth housing or homelessness. LifeWise and mihi to hai to Barrett, who's the kaihotu, the CE of LifeWise there, for putting their hand up, and Zoe, to actually do something about youth homelessness in Tāmaki and in Aotearoa. So ngā mihi nui LifeWise, kia ora. So look at all these beautiful people up here that are part of this collective. Let's give them a big, massive whakapapa. And LifeWise is still part of our collective, but Hai Tu's being shy, so that's okay. So whānau, we just want to give you, and the wonderful Liz from the north, kia ora, we just want to give you the opportunity to ask us any questions from the workshop firstly. If anyone has any questions, we'll get people to... Is there another mic there that we can run out? Does anyone have any pātai for us about youth homelessness? We thought we'd get started with that. Zoe. No, tricky question.
Kia ora. Thanks for your wonderful presentation before. I just love to hear what you're doing and what you've achieved. Huge mihi to you all. Sometimes I miss stuff because I get overloaded. So aroha mai, if I'm asking something that you already said, because this happens to me, you just have to tell me again because I miss it. But I know that you are making really good utilisation of the transitional housing, and you know, I get it, and that's good, and it needs to happen. But I wonder, what is your vision beyond transitional housing? What would you like to have if it wasn't transitional housing that you were aiming for right now? What would you be aiming for in the housing space?
Kia ora, thank you for that question. I really wanted a question like that today. But, and I know Zoe, and security wasn't on the door. But look, in all seriousness, of course, we want legislation that's going to stop the flow of youth into homelessness. We actually want social housing. We want every person in Aotearoa that needs a whare to be able to have a whare. And it's actually less cost to do that than what we're doing right now, is we don't actually have a plan to do anything. So the cost of doing nothing is where the expensive part is. We actually want everyone housed. We want our rangatahi and tamariki to be able to stay with whānau. Is there anybody else that wants to continue on in the solution?
I'd just say we'd love for the government to recognise that young people are young humans. So the same complexities we have in the adult population, where you have addictions and, you know, cultural responses that are needed, and you have mental health, and you have, you know, family breakdown and family violence, that we don't need youth housing. We need to move from this program-centric approach to homelessness in Aotearoa to a cohort-centric approach with bespoke solutions. But we also hail back to Dr. Moana Jackson in 2019 when he was here, and he said there isn't a homeless issue for Māori, it's a houseless issue. And that's no different for our rangatahi. Where are the rangatahi Māori housing initiatives that put rangatahi Māori directly into home ownership themselves? And you know, we did have the Government Advances Act in the early 1900s, And if you were tō iwi, if you were Pākehā, between 1906 and 1935, the government would guarantee you a loan into housing. So that means that, my whakapapa, someone way back when, got into housing so that I grew up in a whare that my parents owned and I own a whare today. That wasn't true for Māori. And then post-World War II, there were other grievances there. So we haven't got that right. So I believe that home ownership is still the way that we solve all of homelessness, including youth homelessness. And I think that social housing in our sector is a symptom of a broken society. And that's why we speak the way we do. Outside of that, we need innovation. We need the government to trust the experts on the ground that see what's going on. You just heard from Mahira. You've heard from Kendra. There's others in our collective. There's Bill and Ula who are doing Pacifica housing. So we need to be able to just respond to the experts who are those catalysts for change in the sector and recognise it's not going to look like the adult system, because what we've basically got is the announcements in the budget and the things that happen so far. It's adult housing funding with rangatahi put in front of it. And we actually need that to change. And we also need to accept that there's no earth that exists anywhere that a high complex needs rangatahi costs less per outcome than a high complex need adult. But yet we still have a government and systems that believe that, it's less costly to help the young people. Well, it's not. Yeah.
Kia ora. Anybody else have any other pātai? Oh, I can give. Oh.
Kia ora tātou. Firstly, just like to acknowledge whānau Manaaki Rangatahi, and thank you for the acknowledgement to us being as LifeWise, but I want to acknowledge you, Aaron, for all the work that you've done across Tāmaki Makaurau and all your advocacy for our rangatahi. You were the trailblazer, you are the legend, and you need to be acknowledged. Now, for us at LifeWise and the mahi that we do with our most vulnerable rangatahi, like I get emotional thinking of them, Zoe and I, back in the day, when we were doing the housing first, identified that even though we were working with family whānau within the streets of Tāmaki, we also knew that there was an identified need for this age group, but nobody was interested. Nobody. There is no excuse for not being interested. And this cohort, this legacy that has become a national development for Māori leadership, for Māori rangatahi, Pacifica leadership for Pacifica rangatahi, Pākehā leadership for Pākehā rangatahi, multicultural. It's all here. And these are the conversations that we need to have at conferences like this. So my question is around workforce. When we're working in the Māori space, we say Māori working with Māori, because Māori know Māori. In the rangatahi space, we know that rangatahi need to be working with rangatahi, especially with lived experience. My question to the cohort is, what do you need from people like me to ensure that your workforce is fit for purpose? To be able to understand what I need to provide, and when I negotiate at the highest levels, that your frame of mind is front footing for me. What do you need from Cs like me? Kia ora.
He mihi atu ki a koutou, ko Liz Cassidy Nelson ahau. I'm no Taitokura ahau, no Ngāpui Nui Tonu ahau. I have the privilege of this amazing wisdom from this very young group. Someone said yesterday I dye my hair so I look younger. Well, I dye my hair, but it's like I need to dye it again. I want to start with the voices of youth. So your question, what I've heard from young people is they want what we want. They want a warm, safe home. They want the right to have independence. They want to live near auntie or mum, but not with auntie or mum because it's not safe. So we're informed by our young people in terms of what the moi are is. In terms of the workforce, so I'm not the expert there. So like you, I'm making the call to our amazing gurus here and our young people, what do they need? But I do know that I've heard through some of the research mahi that they've done is that they need people, they need young people to walk alongside them. And you hear that often within the youth spaces in terms of, you are like me and therefore you will understand me and I can engage with you. Yeah, so that's only, you know, again, it's complex and diverse, but there's certainly a strong call in the youth sector to support our young people anyway within our services, to grow them to be the leaders for the future. Kia ora.
Kia ora whānau. I wanted to respond to your pātai because it's a beautiful pātai, and it hopefully will stir everyone's puku to really think about this. But in practical ways, we can do things like have representation. If we go back to te tiriti, it's all about making sure that there's equality at the table. And I think about our governance boards and how they really don't reflect our community quite often, and they don't reflect the people that we serve. So we could start with ensuring that our boards reflect our rangatahi voice by ensuring that they can safely speak into that, into the realm of governance, that we can grow them and we can succeed them. And if you guys are too hairy hard outs because, you know, we're pushing our agendas and what we've been doing for a very long time, create a safe space for them so that they can have their own governance, and then utilise their voice as a form of leadership and not a form of advisory. I think that's really important. And then when I think about Māori and Pasifika, we as general managers and CEOs must build policies in the back end to ensure that we have a Māori recruitment strategy and a Pasifika recruitment strategy and a commitment to professional development for Māori leaders. We must go, if we're really committed to the kaupapa, we've got to say, okay, cool, who is our rangatahi voice that is in our leadership team, and how do we ensure that they're safe in terms of impacting that change that we're trying to create? Yeah, I just thought I'd say that.
Kia ora kiri mangu.
Malalawa soifua, my name is Bill Peace. I'm newly established as Ola Leola Aotearoa. Just recently approved as a youth transition housing part of Pacifica. Really want to acknowledge my journey when I got into this space. I mean, I've been youth worker 40 years. I can't sort of turn grey into black because there's nothing there to change. But, you know, it's just acknowledging people like Strive, Kahui Tukada, I've been a part of their journey, just continuing to acknowledge the transition housing youth. Coming from the hood of 274, and those are familiar with localities, always questioning organisations, don't feel aroha when you're trying to expand outside of your expertise, right? When you're health, stay with health. Don't do youth services, don't do social services when that's not your kaupapa, let alone your whakapapa of that organisation. So I'm not saying stay in your lane, but know who's in the lanes. I was being a sprinter back in my day, you can't tell now, but in those lanes. It's really critical that we integrate within our expertise, not infiltrate other people's expertise. Because if you're not true to the kaupapa of your organisation by caring enough to do other outside that, then you're doing those who have expertise out of their responsibility of opportunity. So coming from a Pacifica community where we're small, we're grassroots, and we're working with health providers who are very strong administratively, what I would like you to do is to help our younger, we use the tōkana teina, the teina organisations to boost their capacity, capability. Because sometimes funding is not available within MSD, but the resource available is amongst us, right? So maybe it's your responsibility, I ask of you, is that there are small organizations that have got the expertise, but you have the capacity to build on the expertise. Please, aroha mai o koha to that space. Because if you don't do that, then we'll just be a small voice, continue to remain in a small voice, and I won't be able to grow here. Kia ora.
Ngā mihi, whānau, we've only got very limited time left together and we want to do an exercise with you. So for those that still have pātai, please come and see us. We'll wait around after the workshop if you want to have a kōrero with us, if you want to join Manaaki Rangatahi. It costs absolutely nothing. Because we're all about, you know, the kaupapa. So, yeah, no mahara mai. But what we wanted to do is we're going to have our whānau come and sit at a lot of the tables, and we are going to get you to move around a little bit. And what we're asking you to do is to break up into your different rohe. And you can do that by iwi, you can do that by area, however you want to do that. So for example, this will be the north table. Tāmaki over here, Waikato there, Te Arawa over here, and so on and so forth. Maybe Ngāti Porou over here in those areas. So if we can just spend a couple of minutes, and we're going to have someone come from our collective. So we'll actually end with this bottom table can be Te Waipounamu. Right down there is Te Waipounamu. So if you're working in those areas, please have a seat, and then we'll give you the next instructions. Let's try and do this in 1 minute. Ka pai. Okay, for tāmaki, can we push 2 tables together for tāmaki? Let's push 2 tables together for tāmaki whānau. We can do this. Kia kaha. Okay. Can we have 2 facilitators on the tāmaki table? One of them will be Mahira Maihi. Kia ora whānau. We're going to give you 10 more seconds to find your place. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2 3/4. If you have not found your region, then can you please come and sit at this table over here? We just want to fill this table up. If you haven't found a seat, please come and sit over here or here. Or the middle table. Just now, please find a seat. Everyone has to be seated. Kia ora, kia ora. Okay. Ngā mihi whānau for doing that. Is everyone okay? Everyone okay? Ka pai. Can I have your attention? Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. Thank you. Okay, so whānau, in about 10, you're only going to have 10 or 15 minutes. We'll kind of time it out. Who has an idea of what we're going to be doing? Hello, kia ora. Hello, Brennan. What do you think we'll be doing? This is why he has a high-paying job. Okay. Kia ora, Brennan. Yeah, ngā mihi. So in your area, we want you to come up with 3 priorities and a timeline about how you're going to execute those priorities in your area around what you're going to do around youth, housing and homelessness. What can you do? Whether that's being part of Manaaki Rangatahi, what are 3 main priorities? And give us a plan. What you're going to do, how you're going to come together, how you're going to energise your particular rohe, iwi, whatever, to do something around youth homelessness in your area. If there is absolutely nothing happening in your area, we are so glad that you are at this workshop today. Ka pai? All right, so 10, 15 minutes. Let's go, whānau. Kia ora, whānau. Awesome mahi and kōrero that I can see going on out there. The thing that we always have to remember, kia ora, is that our rangatahi are waiting for us to get our crap together. That's very true. And when I say that, I mean that, you know, they're the ones that are in unstable housing, housing insecurity. They're waiting for us to get together in spaces like this and actually have some priorities, make a plan and have some action. Ka pai? All right, let's get started on giving some feedback. Now, if someone else has got a priority that you've already got, you can maybe you don't need to expand on it, but you could if it's specific to your particular area. So we're going to start right up north in Te Waipounamu because, for Māori we go backwards. Okay? So we'll start with our hosts over here. Give a big paki paki to Te Waipounamu. Get excited. Oh, you need the mic. Of course you do. So whānau, the rule is when your group's presenting, you have to stand up and tautoko your group. Stand beside your person. Don't leave them on their own. Come on now. Kia kaha.
Kia ora, Bianca. Kia ora koutou, ko Tanya Smith Takawingawa. We're here representing Te Waipounamu, and our action points, I think, for our group. First one was, thank you, to look at expanding the accommodation options for youth housing. At this stage, we just have quite limited options and are struggling to find housing, actually, as providers. Another one is ensuring government agencies are around the table to address local needs. And the third one, it's a bit of a combo, a joined-up approach to create action on youth housing and having joint conversations with iwi on youth homelessness.
Someone stay afterwards from this group to join Manaaki Rangatahi. Okay, ka pai. Is this Poneke here? Wellington? Oh, another group from Otatahi. Awesome. Let's go.
Do you want to do it?
We all had similar ideas, and they all come from mainly, I would say, early intervention. We're losing youth, and they are becoming adults in homelessness, and so we want early intervention. We need youth peer support workers. We want education that appeals to youth, education that is relevant to youth. We want support for them in mental health, and we need safe housing, as you've already said and you know very well, and something from Christchurch in particular, Otatahi. We want to see youth engaging with their iwi and their whāmiri. That's us.
Kia ora, we'll be really quick. We had one share one big idea. We had a couple. And really it was leveraging the fact that Wellington still has the head office of government and lots of agencies. So our idea was to give voice to rangatahi in Wellington by those of us who are not even rangatahi adjacent, but beyond that, facilitating the pathway and the process to get a cross-agency rangatahi group, but make it beyond government agencies, so delivery agencies, those that support tenants, those that support rangatahi. And then our other responsibility, I guess, is to create that pathway for that rangatahi voice to be able to be loudly and clearly heard by those that have the purse strings and the decision making. So that's our big idea.
Who's next? Who's next? Come over here. Ka pai.
Tēnā tātou. Ko karapini mai nei, ko whakarawika mai nei tēnā wā, e mihi kawana kia koutou Manaaki Rangatahi, e tautoko ana i tēnei kaupapa. So just for us, I guess we just need we need everything. We need everything in Te Arawa, only because we've got nothing. No, I'm just joking. There are a few services out there that are supporting our rangatahi, but in terms of housing, nothing. Ka pai. And yeah, so there's limited resources, zero youth housing support, and the need for iwi partnership. And yeah, so tukua mai kia piri, tukua mai kia tata, kia aike mai ki runga ki te pai poto a hau mai tawhiti. Bring it on, bring it over to our to Tarawa, and let's manaki these rangatahi. E mihi.
Kia ora te arawa.
Yes, very quick. Oh, kia ora tātou. We're from Waikato Bay of Plenty. So one of the things that that we've, we need our rangatahi voice. We need to understand what's happening in their spaces. We need to understand what it is that they need so that we can tailor our response to the needs of our rangatahi in which we're trying to serve. And that will be able to design and work with others to have more options for rangatahi, so they have a safe place to stay and that they can be nurtured and supported in their journey. We need to work collectively together to collaborate so that we can provide a pathway for our rangatahi through the housing continuum. To do that, we need to work together. So Waikato, Bay of Plenty.
Kia ora, and actually Manaaki Rangatahi is already in the Waikato and they are going hard. You guys, have you been? Yep, come on.
Well, I'm going to start off with mine first. And it's like this. I have a dream. And we are allowed to dream. But I dare you to share this dream. My dream is, it has been said earlier and it's been said throughout, it takes a village to raise a child. So why don't we build a village for them? We've got Ryman Village for our elderly. What about our rangatahi? Well, can you imagine a village with their own marae? They've got their own houses, not their own units, 1-bedroom houses. And we've got the services within that village. And we set up education. The best education you can get is in our marae. That's my dream, and I dare you to share that dream. So I did forget, I'm from Tairawhiti, and we've got a mixed Indigenous group over here. Where are you from, Ula?
Samoa.
He's from Samoa.
Tēnā koutou katoa, no Otautahi te Waipounamu ahau. However, I am representing Ngāti Kainunu.
Tēnā koutou, he uri ahau no te taitokero. Engari, I'm representing Te Kotahi Tango Ngāti Te Wharetoa, and also a board member of Tuatahi Centre down in Poneke. Kia ora.
Kia ora everyone, Kirimangu. I represent Te Whānau Māori, the Cook Islands, and my husband is full Niuan. Kia ora.
Kia rana, I'm Hanamari Monga. I represent Pūrākau Kura and Moa Studio, and my family are from the Cook Islands and Ngāti Whātua and Te Uri Ahau.
Kia ora, my name's Stacey Maniapoto. I represent Te Runanga o Tūranganui Kiwa, which cover 3 iwi, Rongo Whakata, Ngā Tāmanuhiri, and Tuatanga Mahaki. What am I talking about? Oh, okay. So one of the things we were talking about was education. It's a big thing for our rangatahi. Life skills, they need life skills first. Training, sustainable solutions and qualifications. They also need an audience, a support audience, mentorship and resources. In Gizzy, we don't have a lot, but we have some. However, we have no housing for our youth. Yeah. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Well, join Manaaki Rangatahi. Come on. We just be really quick because this workshop's actually over. So we'll just quickly, aroha mai. So we might get kicked out soon. So if we can just be supersonic quick whānau.
Kia ora, I'm Jessie. We're from Pōniki and crew, and we were reflecting that Christchurch got some awesome collaboration going on, Auckland's got awesome collaboration going on, and we're like, what are we up to in Wellington? We can't even sit at the same table as our own whānau. So we're going to keep it simple, stupid, and we're going to have one action. Let's have a hui in Wellington. Yay! So Wellington crew, can you write your emails down on a piece of paper and I'll send out an email to everyone and we'll organise a date.
And my beautiful homeland of Tāmaki Herenga Waka. As usual, we're having difficulty finding someone to say something.
Kia ora whānau, ko Jasmine Hirawini Ahau, and I'm the National Tenancy Ops Manager for Salvation Army Social Housing. Got all the prevention and that going on. All I can say is give us the ability to build. We've got the land to be able to do it, just the bureaucracy tied up with all of that. Let us build, because we have the ability to do that. We'll house our rangatahi. Easy. We've already done it in Tamaki Makaurau. We've got some of our babies that we took in under the age of 18. Because there's no restrictions, so long as they've got their support working. But if you are a social service provider, please do not fall off. Please do not fall off from our babies, because that's what we found. They hit 18 and there's nothing. And then I've got my tenancy managers doing all that social work in there. Why do we do that? Because we want our babies to sustain their tenancies with us. Kia ora.
Okay, whānau, one last group and then that's us. And of course, it is the group that is the most good looking because it's where I'm from. In the north, Te Tai Tokiro. Kia ora.
I echo what everybody else has said. We need to saturate our spaces with young people, so they're the decision makers in terms of what their needs are. Some obvious things like spaces that are there for young people, so kaiarahi that are there. Working income is not a space to be forcing upon our young people, so they need the information. We must have, sadly, the unstable housing environment of emergency. We need something for our young people as an immediate response, but that exclusively needs to be for young people. We need housing allocated to young people. So currently, love our old people, but we are tagging middle older people. Our young people are invisible in the social housing space. They must have housing allocated for them. So that's Tai Tukaru.
And they have joined Manaaki Rangatahi already. This is one of the trustees of Manaaki Rangatahi. Ngā mihi. Well, kia ora whānau, you did really, really well, but now this is action. Hey, we can kōrero all we want, but we need to take some action in our area. Please look us up. We're on Facebook. If you want to come and have a kōrero with us about joining up and anything about youth homelessness, please let us know. But before we go, we're going to have one more plug from Maia Ratara.
Tēnā tātou, ko mai ratana tēnei, huria hau no te aroa, no taranaki no Ngāti Raukaua ki te tonga. Just a real quick chat from me. Jackie was supposed to do it, but she got pulled out. So it has to be me. So one thing that Jackie and I last year were funded to write a report about youth homelessness in Tāmaki Makaurau. And so there's a few floating around. Feel free to grab one if you can. We're also doing a kōrero at 3:30 in here, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But we did this on behalf of Manaaki Rangatahi. They asked us as Māori researchers to do this for our rangatahi because without data, you can't go to the government and tell them that there's a problem, basically. So this is our small contribution to the kaupapa, and hopefully we see more reports and research and data out there that really highlights this issue for our rangatahi. Kia ora.
Kia ora Maia, and you can find that all online. So if you didn't get a copy, it is online. You just Google Youth Homelessness Rangahau. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou whānau mauri ora. Have a great day. Let's end youth homelessness together. Come and have a kōrero. Ngā mihi.